This is the Action Movie Guys podcast, bringing you action movie reviews from across the decades, plus box office numbers and insight like never before. And now, your hosts of the Action Movie Guys podcast, Alex and Nate.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 170 of the Action Movie Guys podcast. I'm your host, Nate, and this is my co-host,
Alex Figueroa.
And on this episode, we are, Alex, we're going up that river. And we're coming to the end of the river. And we're coming to the end of the decade of the 2000s. Now, we've done some good movies, and we've done some pretty good movies. And now we're going to do another one. This one's from 2005. Doug Liman directed, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, starring Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, some other people. Adam Brody was in this. Kerry Washington was in this. Now, before we get started and I give you the Rotten Tomato scores and we start talking about the categories, how long has it been since you've seen Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
It's been a while. I was like, wait a minute. It's been a while. I don't watch this one as much, to be really honest with you.
All right. I actually saw this last year because I was doing like an Angelina Jolie career like watch through thing for my Instagram. So I did watch this fairly recently before this viewing, but I feel like this is one of those movies, like I saw it in the theater when I was a teenager. It's one of those like TV movies to me. Like every time it was on TV, I would just kind of leave it on in the background. So I've seen it in parts like 1,000 times. I don't know, but watching it in the whole, this is my first time since last year. So with that being said, let's give you some Rotten Tomato scores and then let's go ahead and give you our opinions on the movie. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith, not amazing scores. I thought it might be actually higher from the audience perspective, but apparently not. This is a 60% from the critics, so it's just on the fresh meter. But from audiences, it's actually just below at 58%. Now, the only reason I think that is low, well, you know what? Some of my like big movie fan friends, it's 50-50. They either like it or don't. But a lot of my casual movie watcher friends all love it. So maybe they're just not going on and writing reviews for it, because they're very casual. But I do feel like this is a casual movie fans kind of movie, but we'll get into why in a moment. Now, Alex, you get to go first because I'm hosting. So, Lee, now we're just going to score them both together. Obviously, their names are both in the title. This really is a co-lead movie. Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, we'll just do them together.
Okay, yeah. I gave it a 5. They had great chemistry together. I know this is the controversial movie that he left Jennifer Aniston for Angelina Jolie. So, again, you can see why. They have very good chemistry. Now, the characters themselves, because we're not talking about the actual actors. The characters I liked a lot. The script was very well written with these characters. It started off them in a therapist room, and I thought that was a genius because you got to see them like not in love with each other. They were like falling apart. They were growing apart from each other. You kind of see it there, and then you see the story unfold. You see how they met, and then it just goes to present time, which was 5 to 6 years. So I thought it worked very well. Look, the action between those two characters was very well. I thought the bantering between the two was very well. I think, again, Brad Pitt as John Smith and then Jane was played by Angelina was perfect choices for this role. And again, this is when Angelina was in her, super prime because she was at 2005. So both of them.
17 years ago.
Yeah, they're A-listers anyway, even now. So, this was like a mega hit. I think this was a mega hit at that time.
It did very well.
Yeah, it did very well. And I'm very, very surprised we did not get a sequel for this movie. Very surprised. Yeah. So, look, with that said, I gave it a 5. I thought they were very well.
Well, you know what? I agree with you. I gave them a 5. Look, if you're talking about interesting characters, they are that. Right? Because the whole premise of the movie is each one of them works as a spy, for a make-believe agency. Yeah. Hers is like all women. His is like a macho all-guy one. Right. They meet in South America somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not Mexico. It's like Colombia or Peru or something like that. And they have like a chance meeting and they end up falling in love with each other, but neither one knows that the other one is a spy. And over time, they end up working for competing agent, like they're both going for the same hit. And then they find out that they're actually competing agents, and then it messes and it throws the whole thing in disarray. So you have two roles here, right? You have Brad Pitt, the secret agent, and Angelina Jolie, the secret agent, and then the both of them, the married couple. I like the progression. I think it's fun. The movie's a lot of fun to me. I think it's a really, really breezy piece of entertainment. Like, it doesn't ask much from you, but the characters are good. Their banter is good. I agree. I love their dynamic. I don't mean to sound horrible, but if I was with Jennifer Aniston and then I worked with this Angelina Jolie, I am also leaving Jennifer Aniston for Angelina Jolie. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to put that out here now. She is incredible. She is incredible, especially in 2005. Goodness gracious. She's my favorite actress in general, but so I enjoy her in this movie. I think she's funny. I think she's actually funnier than him. And she has some really good, like, funny lines. And I like the therapy scenes. They add a nice little layer, like you could see over time, like they liked each other and then they start to hate each other. And then by the end, they like each other again. I like it. I gave him a 5. I really don't have a problem with them as a lead. Now, villain. So there's not really this is not that kind of movie.
Yeah.
They're almost each other's villain. So I'll just leave it to you, however you kind of want to approach it.
I just went with the agency.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I gave it a 3. The only thing that they really did was just put each other to work together to get these two dead. That's pretty much what they did. And we don't get to see that. I thought it would have been awesome if they had Brad Pitt's head up, higher up, and then you got Keith David. I think that's his name, right? Keith David?
Keith David.
Yeah, he plays father for the female. So I thought we were going to get those two on screen going, you know what? You help me assassinate this guy. And you help me get rid of her. And then I would have been like, you know what? That's cool. We did not get this in this movie. So with that said, I gave it a 3. They were good. Again, they were good. But most of the time, it was Jane versus John most of the time. And then towards the end, that's when you get more of the fighting between all the agencies coming at them at one time. So with that said, I gave it a 3.
Yeah, I gave it a little lower. I gave it a 2. Okay. But I see where you're coming from. Yeah, there's not a real villain. They don't have to, they end up having to fight against their agencies, but it's really just like nameless henchmen that they end up fighting. They don't have to kill their friends, like his Vince Vaughn with Brad Pitt, or like her girls that are like her main friends. Like, they don't really have to go up against. I thought that would have been cool. If they would have had to go up against like them, that would have been awesome. But they don't really. So that was kind of a missed opportunity, but I'm not going to keep going on. It's not that kind of movie. It's not like good guy versus bad guy action movie like a lot of the ones we cover. So I'm just going to give them a 2. Okay, action.
This is like straight up Hall of Fame of action. This is straight up great action. It's set up perfect. You had a comedy action when he's like, I thought it was funny with the knives and everything and their guns inside the oven and all that cool stuff. I thought it worked very well. You have great fighting sequences between the two, the shooting when they go home. And he discovers that she is an actual spy, and then they start to shoot each other and everything. Look, that is one of the best, most set up scenes ever, because she was not trying to kill him, but every time she gave him a martini, and then he saw the Drano and he threw it out, and then she goes,
that was so funny.
Yeah, how was the roast? And then when he looked through the mirror, it was rat pellets. So
all of a sudden he's like, feels like he's choking.
Yeah. So she was playing mind games with him. You could tell. And I thought it worked perfect. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, again, once they started to fight, that was all great. The scene with the van was awesome. When they were fighting the mom, they were in the mom van and they opening doors and throwing dudes to the other side and opening and closing. I thought that was cool. Yeah. But of course, the best scene of the film is the end when they're in the shopping mall, like an IKEA type setup.
It's like a home store, like a big, huge home. It's
like IKEA.
Not a Home Depot. Yeah, or like a big Kmart.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. But it was like set up with the houses already. It was one of the best sequences. Like they were just going like, you know what? I love you. And we're going to just take them all out together. And they actually did. They did. I hold that for like story and overall. But yeah, other than that, look, it was a 5. It's straight 5.
Nice. Well, you know what? This has a great, not great, but a really good director, Doug Liman. As far as action, he made some good ones. This one, Edge of Tomorrow. I know you watched that recently. He directed that movie as well. The less good Jumper. That one's not that great. But,
never saw that,
but he's got a good style, in my opinion, especially for action. To me, the action's really good. And it's really 2 set pieces. because you do have the scene in the desert, with the rocket launcher when you're trying to, and then like the dune buggy thing and all that kind of, there's that part. And then there's like other parts where like, there's like some zip lining and she zip lines across a thing or, there's like minor, but there's 2 set pieces. And that's when they fight each other in the house, which is A+. I agree with you. I think the setup is perfect. I think the music during that scene, like the Express Yourself playing, is really good. I love their dialogue with each other when they're fighting with each other. It's PG-13, but it hits pretty hard. Yeah. I love when he's kicking her, when she's on the floor and he's doing that kick and it's like really dramatic. He's like really laying into her. I don't know why. Maybe I think it's the way he's moving. It makes me laugh so hard. And granted, I'm not saying you should kick women, but the way it does in the movie, it plays for comedy and it's really funny.
And then she punches him in the dick and he goes, oh!
Yeah.
After.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
That scene's great. And then the last scene in the store, it's actually really good. I'd put that up with most like regular action movies. Like they end up having to team up against like 50,000 bad guys. Think of like The Equalizer, except not rated R. And instead of one guy versus 20, it's 2 people versus 50. You get the idea. But you got like the laser sights and the yellow glasses and all the like, it's really cool. I gave it a 4. I think the action's really well executed, but it's not elite to me. But I see where you're coming from. I don't really have an argument against it. But for me, it was a 4. For you, it was a 5. But the action's good. I think what you can gather from this, this has really good action in it. Okay, storyline. All
right, storyline. I thought it was a great storyline. I don't think it was a perfect. I gave it a 4, okay, in terms of storyline. I think it was a very unique storyline. Because honestly, I didn't know this was a remake to another Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And I don't know if that was the actual same storyline of the remake. I don't even know if there was the same thing. But in terms of it, I never seen another movie that had some type of storyline like this, that the husband and wife were spies and they figured it out and they putting hits on each other. So I gave it the uniqueness of 4. Because I thought it was really good. And the storyline was actually really good. I was really hooked. Honestly, there was no dead spots. I was really having fun. Vince Vaughn threw another layer into this movie, and he was hilarious. He was mad funny. He was mad funny. I liked when they were, when they in the diner, right? And he goes, great. He's like, you got rid of the bitch, right? And then he sees her, he goes, oh, hey, Jane, I didn't mean all that. But, and then when he was talking, and then he goes like, he said something. He goes, I've been his best friend for so many years, but that's all I'm saying. He just
when he goes to his house and then he has the shotgun, and the mom yells, "Mom, we're on high alert! I almost shot you just then!" Like his reaction, it makes me laugh every single time. It's hilarious.
No, he was good. Yeah, he was good. Oh, and then when they asked him for ice cream, he was like, "I don't like vanilla, I don't like chocolate, but if you put both of them together, you can make something happen." He goes, "I'll have something like that." He's stupid. I was like, but it's the same flavors. He was like, but that was pretty funny. But again, you got a lot of layers of good stuff there. But anyway, I gave it a 4.
Yeah, so we flip flop here on the action and the story. I actually give it a 5. Now, granted, it is taking into account the type of movie this is. And really, to me, I've always looked at this as it's an action comedy, but even more so, I just feel like it's a really good like date movie.
Yeah.
Like a date movie is a genre in its own right. Like this is an action film that guys can enjoy and also women can enjoy. You know what I mean? And I think the overall storyline plays to that. It works for both because you do have the almost like rom-com-ish elements to it, yet it's also just a spy action movie pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think the execution is really well done. I think again, I love the whole thing of like this one doesn't know and this one doesn't know. And then they find out and then that leads to some problems. And I also like the meet, like when they first meet at the beginning. I like all the early scenes too, when they're first meeting and going on dates. And he takes her to the shooting to the fair, and she's like, she just like loses because you make the man feel like he's really good at it, and then she goes like, she starts hitting all of them, and she has that giant, like she wins that giant thing. I think it's hilarious, but I think the story is perfect for the type of movie it is. So I'm going to give it a 5. I like it. I've always enjoyed this movie. I think it's funny. I think it's a lot of fun. So yeah, okay, overall,
I gave this movie a 5. I think this is not, again, and I'm not saying this is a perfect movie. What I mean the reason why I'm giving it a 5 is because I think the script, the action, the lead characters, the soundtrack, and everything in one made it into a really good, fun, romantic comedy / action junkie movie. So like, I'll be honest with you, my wife would have been like going, hey, let's go to a date night and she takes me to see this. I would have been like, hell yeah. because it's both
win.
worlds. Yeah. It's a romantic, but it's still
she gets
action.
eye candy. You get eye candy. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win, and I get explosions, guns, and Angelina, and that's it. That's all
She gets explosions and love and Brad Pitt. Well,
pretty much. That's exactly what you get, and I think that's it. You get the total package in this is a 5, man. I cannot see people go, it's a 4, it's a 3. Hell no, man. You get a lot of good stuff here. Angelina in a button-down shirt with no pants on. Oh, mamacita.
I mean, stunning.
Yeah, 5.
Stunning.
What you got?
5. Okay. I gave it a 4. But I just, for me, we do grade a little different, so it doesn't matter. 4. I think it's awesome. It's unique. Like it mashes up the right amount of genres. Now, there's another movie called This Means War with Reese Witherspoon and Tom Hardy and Chris Pine. And I feel like that tried to be in this genre.
Yeah.
And it's not as good on any single level as this movie is. So if you want to have a comparison, and I'm not saying it's a bad movie, don't get me wrong, but like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I think is the pinnacle of a genre that doesn't have very many movies in it, where it's just this mashup of rom-com and action, and really those two, that's kind of what it is. It's like a romantic comedy and an action film. And that's not something you see all the time. I think this is the best version of that. Now, can something come along and be as good? Maybe, yeah, probably. But nothing has, in my opinion. No. You have a good director. You have, we're talking like A+ level stars. Like Angelina Jolie was a star at this point. Brad Pitt was a star at this point. Beautiful people doing action. And yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. It's funny. I give it a 4. So what is your total points?
My total points is a 22.
Nice. I have it at 20. And it would have been higher if there was like villains. Like if there was like a main villain, that would have been probably higher. But 20 out of 25 for me, 22 out of 25 for you. And this is what I mean. We give this whole score and the audience scores a 58. I always thought I thought it was kind of low. I don't know, but whatever. People don't like this movie.
It could be also, how people get when someone cheats on somebody.
They're like, this is the movie that broke them up. I'm going to give this a 1 for Jennifer.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I stand with Jennifer. It could be some trollies out there.
Could be trolls. Damn it.
Well, they need to get over it. It's now 17 years later. Maybe give it another watch. And that's the other thing. For a 17-year-old movie, it holds up well. Like nothing in this looks terrible,
No, honestly, I agree with you. And, it's kind of weird. We haven't gotten a 4K version of this movie.
It's bizarro. They got flip phones. That's about the only thing that kind of dates it.
But there's still flip phones out now.
Yeah, but, old people have them.
Well, the Galaxy has the flip touchscreen jammy, whatever it's called, the flip phone. Is it called the folding phone or whatever? The Samsung Fold, I think it's called.
Okay, I believe you. But yeah, this had a budget of $110 million and made $487 million. So I can't believe it didn't get a sequel. I can't believe it didn't get a 4K yet. I would have liked to have seen a movie where they had a kid and then something else happened. I thought that was the natural progression for this kind of movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it just didn't happen. Also, it's on Disney Plus if you want to watch it. So there you go. You can watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith on Disney
saw it on Hulu.
Yeah, it's on Hulu too. So great movie. I do own it digitally. I'm waiting for a 4K to get a disc for it because I've always enjoyed this movie. So, Alex, with that being said, next up, continuing with our James Bond with the too many titles, we got For Your Eyes Only, starring an ever-aging Roger Moore and some other people, I don't know. And we're moving into the 2010s, and we're going to be covering I'm going to say it's a big movie. This was a big movie for sci-fi and for a lot of people. Christopher Nolan's Inception. We're going to be reviewing that. So, and you want to keep an eye out because that will tie into our director spotlight over on our live shows on YouTube. So, but we'll be giving you the full breakdown just on this podcast. So you definitely going to want to check that out.
Yeah, if you guys want to follow us on our social media accounts, please follow Nate over on Instagram at Netflix Reviews. Check out the podcast with him and his friends called Netflix Movie Reviews. Anything action movie, guys, head over to youtube.com/Geeks and Flicks for the video version of the podcast, or head over to our official website, www.geeksandflicks.com, where you have the video and audio podcast in the same page for any other films. And then, of course, we have a Patreon. If you want to watch us behind the scenes doing the podcast, well, you could by joining the Patreon. Other than that, he is your host,
Nate from Netflix Reviews.
I'm his co-host, Alex Figueroa. Be awesome to each other and geek out.